employees that work here. It's clearly abandoned. Clearly every map that you play on is abandoned.
They get abandoned because of the zombie apocalypse we've established.
Exactly, but where are the zombies? That's the real question.
Well, they've abandoned it too. Because Overwatch came.
Like, no one likes the movies. Jupiter.
It's like a party when the cops arrive.
Rissa hog defense first. This one you'll call a bunker because it is very defensive. Widow and Junkrat pretty typical as well. The Widow is going to be here to shut top down TOT rather. The Cyclone coupling. I don't know how long they're going to stay on this once they realize that Kengi's a pretty formidable sniper as well.
Yeah. Cyclone coupling are at least going to commit to it for one bout. See if it actually pays off for them, because this is also time where Hengi can charge up the Emperor's side. What you're really looking for, though, is something like Riptire out of Anakin.
Hengi low.
The one saving grace for Cyclone coupling here, it's hard for Anakin to charge that ultimate up. Hengi low but not dead means he will eventually get the kill on TOT. Sleep on Fallen means he goes down, but there is a trade to come in now, and Hengi does not have a shield to hide behind. A lot more pressure on him, but Ken Mohororu holding down the fort, rather. The pick potential is still there on the Roadhog.
This is not really ideal for Jupiter so far because they don't have player advantage. They're trading out members. They've already used their rares. And look, Anakin's going to have to come back from spawn now. Cyclone Company have a soft 6v5 they can take for the time being, pending whether this can be a kill from Hengi.
Unfortunately connects on neither of those ones, and Ken Mohororu does get some work done on the ground once again, but still in the reset phase here for Jupiter. TOT has enough healing to survive that one, and now starting to push forward as well.
Friendly defense matrix from MG as well, saving his life, and Hororo's been a pretty big deal.
Ooh, looks for it again. He does almost find MG. Unfortunately, once again, it's not quite. And in that time, TOT finds Hengi. They open up with a rocket barrage that goes completely unpunished and unanswered, and finds a kill on Zer. With that, Cyclone coupling look like they have done just enough to break through this one, but Jupiter are going to make it difficult for them.
Difficult, but not impossible. TOT now uncontested. Hengi nowhere to be seen.
Zer's going to go down here inevitably, and the thing that really paid off for Jupiter there was for Cyclone coupling was even though Jupiter got a couple of picks in there and the res came back in, TOT was still keeping the pressure on by going after the supports.
And he got Hengi down, by the way. He was the one that actually killed Hengi, his opponent here. And you're probably wondering, okay, how does Hengi not shut down the pharmacy combo? What is his damage up? Like, why is he not doing more? And you have to look at Jupiter's positioning. They were so far backed up. They didn't have good sight lines.
Yeah.
It was Cyclone coupling controlling the point itself. Jupiter could not put Hengi in a position where he had a clean shot on anybody, such that then he could not get those kills. Kimbo Hororo was holding down the fort. If it wasn't for that, A would have been over even sooner. Now, Cyclone coupling, walking with ultimates, Jupiter only have the nano.
Does have better sightlines here. Fallen, though, going to get aggressive. Even though he'll be taking shots here, what they want is to alleviate pressure from the rest of the team. Unfortunately, the counter dive finds Lee Chang soon, and Fallen realizes he's in too deep.
He might live.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Anakin also finding one with the pulse bomb, but I believe he died to his own pulse bomb there.
2 kills.
Yikes. But it is still Jupiter defending at this juncture.
Great hack, by the way. That was the one that really connected from Kimahororu. That stops Fallen from getting away otherwise. That would have been a great push. And also from Anakin, you can see, okay, forward pressure from the primal range is supposed to give you a free push onto the cart. However, your Tracer is then onto the cart itself, really harassing those members and preventing the forward momentum.
There's no CMP out from Ken Mohororu. They're going to be able to find Fallen. Looking to find MG here. Should be able to... doesn't quite get the D-Mech. They need to be careful how far they follow up here as well. But Anakin cares not. Now they're going to be rewarded with even more kills, and Jupiter just looks so much more comfortable when they're flexing onto these DPSs.
Yeah, and I think Anakin's doing a decent amount on this Tracer as well. You can see him just cleaning up the kills. This is alleviating a lot of pressure from Hengi, who was the primary target for so long. In fact, Cyclone coupling are feeling Anakin so much on the Tracer, they want to go into Brigida to try and counter this one to limit his potential. TOT is nearly back onto an EMP, and we talk about his ability to assassinate a player. If he can still do that, that's a big deal.
That is a brilliant pulse bomb feat, speaking of assassination. And Cyclone coupling have already committed to this one. They lose Becky after the nano boost has already gone in, and Cyclone coupling just don't get any value for what they committed. Jupiter do commit a lot of ultimates as well when all said and done, but they're really keeping a lid on Cyclone coupling now.
And by the way, Anakin just needs to be an agent of chaos. Yes, it's nice, he gets some pulse bomb kills, 6v5, he'll take it. However, just keeping eyes away from Hengi, keeping pressure away from him, making sure that he is the one getting attention. Anakin we're talking about, that is then going to give Hengi the sightlines to work with, the kind of availability to then get kills. And on top of that, yeah, Anakin's getting his own kills.
I'm out of
TOT knows he can't really go for this until the Infrasight has expired, and in that window, Jupiter are looking to fight even more, charge up other ultimates as well. They're never going to have a good defensive tool against the EMP, so what they can better do is just get aggressive, get kills before Cyclone Coupling can use the EMP in a fight.
And it's hard for them too, because how do you use this EMP? Who do you go on? Are you supposed to get a solo EMP on Anakin? He's doing enough damage, it almost feels worth it. Are you supposed to go on Hengi on the back line? You can't even reach him.
Well, Jupiter know exactly where they want their EMP to connect. They sleep fallen and commit it onto him and him alone. The sound barrier is there, buys the rest of Cyclone Coupling more time, and it's time in which they killed Anakin. So it may have just paid off for the time being, but the res is going to come in onto Anakin, and the rest of Cyclone Coupling are still under pressure. EMP finding out from TOT, but he dies pretty soon after. And unfortunately, Cyclone Coupling just aren't getting the better end of any of this. Hengi finds 2 in that as well.
And you can see the difficulty, okay, if you're playing Sombra versus Goats versus a 3-3 tank lineup, great. Drop the EMP on everybody. You farm them for kills. You're playing versus triple DPS. Again, who do you EMP? Is it the Tracer? Is it the backline? You're not going to get Claire. He's going to be off to the side. Are you going to go for Sabagod? Well, he's going to be somewhere on his own as well. It is so difficult to connect onto members that then you can also jump onto. Notice TOT died straight away when he EMP'd. Now hopping off the Sombra entirely. Knows that the value is lost.
Waiting for the shot. I like the DPSs as well. It's what's worked for them in the past. It's what worked so well against Nova.
Fallen.
Swap
off,
boy. But man, Fallen gonna go off, gotta go down rather, and Jupiter just already in a great spot for this fight. The cart does get a little bit more progress, but now Jupiter can wrap around to the main trunk of the fight.
Should be a hold now.
TOT, and this is where Cyclone Coupling can't afford to back out anymore. They just have to commit to what is a 4 versus 6, at least until Fallen gets back, and he may not get back at this rate. Lee Chang soon takes a headshot. MG's D-Mex also takes a headshot, and Cyclone Coupling have absolutely nothing left to go on.
Just a last-ditch attempt to jump on top of Hengi. You can see Fallen just can't get much done here. Yeah, they finally kill Anakin. Can they convert that into something? Fallen still just jumping around. This is a hide-and-seek game. And look, Hengi just running through tunnels.
And it wastes Fallen's time, really. Fallen also goes down, and that's going to be the last little batch of kills for Jupiter. And it's just a completely different team once again.
I actually think, okay, to sort of throw a bone over to side of Cyclone Coupling, despite how awful that B push looked, they got the cart a fair distance. That is more than they probably should have, and the reason they did that is because, okay, so much of the Jupiter defense was on high ground and often split over to the sides. No one was really contesting as much as they could be. Maybe Anakin was harassing every now and then, but he's not going to be sitting there for too long. Cyclone Coupling got a decent push for the circumstance, but the circumstance was rough because Lee Chang-soon and TOT, more on the Lee Chang-soon side, had a rough game in terms of what do you do here? He played, you know, a bit of Widow. He played, okay, then, you know, he tried to go Tracy, he tried to go Brigida. He's like, what do I do here? Okay, I can't counter Anakin. I can't counter Hengi either. TOT's like, I'm playing the Sombra. I can't go anywhere. I can't jump on Hengi because I'm dying because, look, Fallen jumps on Hengi, instantly eats a sleep dart, gets hacked, eats a Bionade, he gets shut down. He used Primal Rage almost solo on Hengi once, doesn't get the kill, gets hacked out, dies anyway. It's just so futile for Cyclone Coupling. They couldn't lock anyone down. It's a cat and mouse chase where it's 1 cat, 6 mice, they're all too quick and the cat's only got 3 legs.
Or it's just Tom and Jerry. I mean, Tom never really won, did he?
I never watched. Just like the Formula 1, I never watched, so I can't confirm.
Tom and Jerry? Goodness gracious. Well, now that I know that about you, I think a little bit less of you, but...
Didn't have that privileged status, unfortunately.
Oh, to watch cartoons as a child.
I didn't have an Amex, so couldn't do it. That's an in-joke, by the way.
Yeah, well done. Anyway, Lee Chang-soon gets a headshot. That's all fancy and nice. And this is Cyclone Coupling already, I mean, it's a reasonable start on the defense, but it doesn't slow down Jupiter too.
You'll also notice it's a very similar lineup in terms of composition to what Jupiter ran. Okay, and the Widowmaker makes a lot of sense here because you don't want Anakin to fire. That's also one of his space picks, by the way, so definitely get him off that. Double snipers on both sides, Halt hook combos on both sides. It's just going to be even. Both teams are going to try and play the same thing. Hengi's pretty confident versus Lee Chang-soon. Anakin's very confident on the Hanzo as well, so it's now a full skill matchup.
It's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. And also see Zer, by the way, has changed over to the Orisa, so he's matching Fallen 1-to-1 in that regard. And Anakin needs a headshot. And Well, that's how the 1-2-1s are working out so far.
Grav, sorry, I mean, it's actually, it's got to be the Dragon Strike coming up online soon. Cyclone Company have more ultimates. They've stayed on this comp longer. Jupiter now have taken so much damage, they have to back out.
Yeah, they have to rotate out even more brutally, which means they eat more damage. Oh, man, Anakin barely got a chance to poke his head around, and Jupiter just can't get any room to breathe.
And this time it feels like just desserts because Lee Chang-soon was on the receiving end of this Widowmaker pressure when he was attacking. Now that Jupiter on their own offense, Cyclone Coupling have the benefit of setups and sight lines, Lee Chang-soon getting those first shots in there, he's putting out the pressure that he was receiving. So Jupiter in a little bit of trouble here.
All right, what's the go, Jupiter? They don't exactly have a lot of ults to lean on. They've nearly got a whole hog, though. That is one area where they are leading their counterparts on Cyclone Coupling. But
honestly, Lee Chang-soon probably should have gotten a pick on that rotation. Not getting that is a little unfortunate for him. Now it allows Jupiter to get themselves onto the point itself. Failed hold the combo.
A little unfortunate, but again, nearly on the whole hog. That's got to be something they lean on. That's not a failed hold hook combo. It's a very successful one. In fact, with the Fortify, Fallen doesn't even get forced back. He's able to just sit pretty behind the shield, and it prevents Savagot from pushing too far forward. He only gets one. And eating Anakin's Dragon Strike. It just goes from bad to worse for Jupiter. Now Fallen supercharges down. Nice hold on to Lee Chang-soon. At least get something done, but the reality is that happens as Jupiter are retreating from this fight.
They are now coming back in. Savagot has kind of turned things back around. You have members alive. Recall is the big pick. That one down is huge.
MG does throw out the self-destruct, partially to fish for kills, partially to reset the mech, and he accomplishes both. In fact, as Becky finds his counterpart, Anakin gets another Dragon Strike. Remember, his other one got eaten in the earlier part of this fight. Now Ken Mohororo has to be the last man on the point to rescue the fight, to clean up these last few members. And on the whole, Jupiter may have just been able to hold on here, but these members are low, and Cyclone Coupling are still hovering in the wings here.
And you have to look at, once again, Ken Mohororo, so rather Savagot this number, but it's always the hog player in terms of keeping their feet on the point, and we still have Cyclone Coupling coming back in now. Savagot under a lot of pressure.
MG never died. He just hung off around to the side. No one went looking for him. And like I said, Jupiter stayed quite low throughout a lot of that. So they've already lost a couple of members. Cyclone Coupling recommit to the fight, and that is the most gross shutdown. COT also finding Claire as he goes for the res. And suddenly Jupiter, feeling like they had it, feeling like they had got it, were not aware that Cyclone Coupling were gearing up for another round.
Now we're going to use that R word again, recovery, because it felt like Jupiter were recovering that entire time. They were backing out, half resetting, realized they got a pick from Savagot, realized they could go back and did so, but never fully reinforced their members. So when Cyclone Coupling got their reinforcements, they got more kills, and that's all you need to see.
Wow, Ken Mohororo gets a clutch one on TOT there. They're able to make this rotation happen, but Anakin might not be so lucky. He does go down in the rotation, and now sleep on TOT. They need to make something out of that. They do, but Savagot goes down as well. And Jupiter still on the back foot. Zerislow goes down to the mines. Ken Mohororo looking to get demexed here, and they've just not made their headway. Hengi getting the one is not enough, especially when he goes down to Becky's pulse bomb. And Jupiter, having looked so good on the defense, look utterly lost on the offense, and Cyclone Coupling bring us to match point.
Like I said, it kind of feels like the opposite of Talon, where, okay, they were kind of lost on the defense here in Hollywood, but the offense was so disgusting, you would rather that be the case than the other way around, because good offense means you finish the map, you go to time bank. Bad defense means you go to the time bank for the other team. In this sort of case, most of the success for Jupiter happened on B, and you congratulate them for that. You were able to celebrate that for a little bit. However, celebrations cut short because A is where the action actually happened. A is where the game was decided, and A was where Jupiter was the weakest.
They hadn't actually ever finished winning that fight on A as well, and I think that's the thing that cost them. Again, I don't think anyone noticed that MG didn't die. He actually slipped off around the side, and between that and Cyclone Coupling having some respawners coming in, with Jupiter having never fully recovered while they were on the point, it's like they were sat there triumphant and didn't realize that the fight was still going.
So this is now going to be, okay, you look at who were the big players in that defense. Lee Chang-soon and TOT stepped up big time after looking, we use this word again, lost on the attack, especially on B, where they just couldn't quite find the counterparts, and no one could shut down Hengi. This time having the benefit of putting the Widowmaker in defense, having the sight lines early, it's the offensive Widow that has to peak you, the defense Widow who's already scoped in. So you have a big advantage in defense. Lee Chang-soon got a lot of kills early on, got a lot of early momentum for his own team, really pushed those ultimates in. you know, a lot of the success for Jupiter didn't happen until later. You
Yeah.
mentioned, look, Anakin got a Dragon Strike Eaton. Great that he got the one later on, but you would like to see the first one go through the start.
Right.
That would have been good for them. And just a lot of things early on especially just did not go well for Jupiter. That kind of snowballed things poorly. And look, if this ends up going to be, if at the end of the day we cap A slowly, but we get there, we go to B, we assume Jupiter are better on B, they can win the map. However, that just didn't happen.
It's rough, right? It's ultimately just rough to watch because this feels like a team that is so good when they're good and then utterly lost when they're not. And on the other side of that, we've got Cyclone Coupling, who are looking more and more consistent as the weeks go by. And we said this is a match that is a must-needed win for them if they're able to walk away with that. It maybe helps keep them safe. You know, the 2 wins might just be enough to keep them out of the bottom 2, where technically they still currently reside. And if anything, the heartbreaker is that in order to accomplish that, Jupiter end up having to cop another loss. The match isn't over yet, sure, but it ultimately feels like on balance between these two teams, Jupiter's weaknesses are hurting them more than what their strengths can make up for.
And I'll be honest, if we go to map 5, which is going to go back into control, maybe we tap back into Busan's success. That's where we can see Jupiter in map 5 take the win, and sadly for Cyclone Company, their 3rd map 5 in a row. Really, really, in some ways uncomfortable to be going 15 maps in 3 weeks, but Cyclone Company now at match point have a good chance of closing this one 3-1, which would be quite sad for Jupiter. And then we will walk away from this one saying Jupiter got their 1 map tax, walked away with a loss as somewhat expected. However, it will be now, after 5 weeks, their most disappointing loss of all the 5 possible losses they've had. I will also say, look, for the side of Cyclone Company, getting this one, we'll have them at 2 matches. That's great, but it will also mean that their next 2, they don't have as much pressure to immediately win because they're somewhat already safe into playoffs. The next 2, they can sort of take a bit more comfortably. But that is all looking into the future. And there is a world where Jupiter come back in. They've got to do so in Havana.
Yeah, what's in your crystal ball there? Is it a game 5 or is it a 3-1 for Cyclone Coupling? Well, unfortunately, it's a bit too foggy. It's hard to...
Turning from meteorologist into astrologist. Sagittarius.
Some people call themselves that. It's like a real profession for some people.
Aquarius. This week, you're going to be eating some food.
What are you? I'm a Libra. Not that that means anything, but what are you? Star sign-wise, do you not know?
Just don't want to admit it live to the world, really.
Don't want people to know that sort of information about you.
It's too personal.
If people know my star
I don't even tell people my race, so it's just, I don't want people to know. Weird.
You don't even tell people your name.
No.
I've seen his birth certificate. It's really Greg. Weird.
Hey, shh. Oh, Sydney, don't tell anyone.
Well, we're going to Havana. I like Havana. Not for the... I just think it's a neat place. Looks nice. You know. Cuba seems cool.
Never been to Cuba.
Neither. I'd like to go someday.
Never been to a lot of places, actually.
I speak Spanish. Don't know if it'll...
Nice humble brag.
Not enough to really get by, but I don't know. Like I
speak Spanish, by the way. Humble bragging.
Just by the way, Spanish speaker here. Just, no biggie.
Hola.
No biggie. Hola, mi amigo. It's the worst way I could say it, right? Oh man, it's not useful at all in New Zealand. I'm gonna level with you. The most use I ever got out of it actually was in France. Just dropping more places I've been, by the way. But the most use I've ever got out of it was in France, where I was at a hotel, and it was like, there were 2 hotels. It was like the Ibis, and then like the Ibis, some extra word.
Ibis Light.
Yeah, something like that, right? And you can forgive someone for getting confused between the 2, especially when it's all written in French. And I'm there, I know which one I'm going to. I'm going to the Ibis. So I go to the Ibis, and there's a lady at the desk, and like, she clearly speaks Spanish and a little bit of English, and the lady at the desk clearly speaks French and a little bit of English, and they are really struggling to communicate in English. I, a native English speaker, recognize that there is an opportunity for me to help. Basically, what this comes down to is I gave a lady directions in Spanish, and she successfully got to her hotel and was quite thankful. And I knew that she was thankful because I know the Spanish word for thanks.
Which is amigo. And why is that?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. You're on
you in
fire.
various ways.
I'm a very easy guy to impress.
Well, 3 pigeons, this time no horse. Yet.
That's why I'm always so impressed with myself.
And they aren't picking at anything in particular, just...
It's just the ground. It's just what pigeons seem to do. They just kind of
drink.
They seem very
Pavement
confused as birds, don't they? They never quite seem sure of what's going on. Must be quite terrifying to be a pigeon. I feel like they're constantly in a state of fear and anxiety.
Wow, did you just describe all prey species? Speaking of prey species, Jupiter, what are we looking at here? Goats on the defense, 3 and 3.
Yeah, goats
Cyclone, coupling. That actually, I wasn't even referring to that, but nice
they are
connection.
now.
Lee Chang-soon thought about playing the Widow. It's going to be Sombra for TOT again. Seeing what he can do in the back line. Has been quite the assassinator so far.
Boy, do I love watching Jupiter play goats. Composition they are so incredibly successful on.
Back in the Cold War now, and TOT is the spy. He is a secret agent. See what he can find out. 45's getting on that EMP so quick.
And this is a defense that we've seen Jupiter not succeed on before, where you try and hold off to the side here. They're just kind of letting the cut slip. Now they're backing out from this position, and it just feels like they haven't gained anything.
And as this cart positioning moves forward, Jupiter, okay, they're using this corner hold, but they need to get something done. TOT gets this flank.
Now that's the thing.
Clowned out.
Now to get in position, he does get spotted, but he still farms up enough charge to be basically on an EMP. So all Jupiter have really done is got themselves to the point where an EMP is going to be used on them.
And that's the thing, because Cyclone coupling can just wait for the EMP. They don't need to fully commit into any engagement. Sabagon has Transcendence, which is a pretty
critical.
important and ultimate.
Clear nearly has a sound barrier as well, for what it's worth, so MG that's used very, very early.
He got baited.
Yep.
He heard the translocate. He's like, it's my time.
My people need me. And there's the EMP. The counter shatter from Zero was there, which has actually made some work for them, but Orlan gets his own shatter off. They need to follow
Zero's
it
alive.
up. Hengi's also alive, just barely. Sound barrier for Claire. Finally commits it as MG's grab comes out, as Hengi finds Becky, and suddenly Jupiter just barely squeaking out slightly better trades here.
I gotta be honest, TOT dying early is a big cost to Cyclone Coupling, because that's part of your damage output post EMP that you need to rely on. There's no damage mitigation unless obviously support ults come through, so TOT can just left click as much as he wants to and describe him as a bit of a dangerous Sombra player where, yeah, he's going to go in and trade his life 1 for 1. Here, he's going to go and drop the EMP and trade his life 1 for kind of 0, because Zer should have probably gone down. Hengi should have probably gone down. Both survived.
Oh, grab, the counter shatter is there.
5-man, 6-man maybe.
Transcendence from Becky just in case, and Claire also goes down in that time before Sabagon can commit his Transcendence. Now he commits it, and they get Lee Chang-soon for their trouble. TOT has got another EMP, and that is the one that Jupiter aren't counting on.
Dice again,
It's going to be the one that does it. They've traded back one, but another. It's still looking like it's Cyclone Coupling's fight here, and they also have that closer respawn as well. Genma Hororo manually hacked, cannot reset the mech, and when the dust settles, Cyclone Coupling continue to push, but credit to Jupiter, they do end up burning a lot of time off the clock.
And ultimates as well. TOT once again dies, and this is where, okay, if he is going to go down, it comes up to the other members of Cyclone Coupling, pick up the pieces, pick up the rest of the kills, get the picks, get the kills you're supposed to get, and when these fights over, Jupiter will be able to contest big time as well. Good ultimates to use.
Sabagon takes a lot of pressure. Even TOT, normally you free fire for a bit and then translocate out. He's been free firing on that flank for an absurd amount of time, only just translocated out now. So Jupiter, I mean, they've got back to this point, at least they'll get another defense. But Cyclone Coupling are getting everything they want.
Well, there is a time limit for both teams, and that is that, okay, Cyclone Coupling will get another EMP, but also they're running out of time. 30 seconds roughly remaining.
Sucker struck forward from Ken Mahororo.
Connects!
Oh, brilliantly done! And that was Becky committing a Transcendence as well. Cyclone Coupling going to be wishing they hadn't thrown that one in.
And that's going to be, unfortunately now, a Transcendence that cannot defend against a Graviton Surge. Also, Earth Shadow available. Sure, Trans saves your life, can't save anyone else in Cyclone Coupling. This looks very losable. TOT needs to rapidly get an EMP and he nearly dies.
Yeah, able to get out. The stun is brutal, but in that time, Sabagon more critically charges up a Transcendence. Now they even have an answer to that EMP.
Sabagon got it.
Sabagon better on the reactions this time. There is no good answer here for Cyclone Coupling. The counter grab, the counter shatter, neither
hold.
enough. Recall dies before the sound barrier. It is a hold. And the Jupiter giveth and the Jupiter taketh away. They have not completed the map just yet, but you've got to call that all kinds of winnable.
They can sniff that map 5 out, they can see it, they can taste it, they know it's coming, they know that if we go there, control's going to look pretty good for them if Busan's got anything to say about it. And this is now going to be the most winnable map of all of them that we've seen so far, because look, Hollywood, okay, A was a big problem for the side of Cyclone Coupling. The reverse seems to be true now, and you can just see, okay, TOT consistently dying. Is he getting EMPs? Sure. Is he able to do much after the EMPs? Not really, and that's been kind of costing things as well. Even this kind of player, when you know that time is running out here, Cyclone Coupling want to be pushing in. Self-destruct is a trigger pull from you to say, I'm going to initiate in, I'm going to be the one to really force the issue here and really put players in positions where, okay, those 2 picks coming through from the self-destruct as well. Zer was one that kind of popped them into a bit of a weird spot. And again, just making sure that Cyclone Coupling are not comfortable. They're not in a decision-making area where they can be the ones saying, we want to take the fight this way. It's Jupiter dictating that, and Cyclone Coupling trying to find a response. If you can't find one, you lose.
So by the way, the 2 kills that came through there, you sort of saw Zer getting the charge on recall, forcing him into an awkward spot. The other was actually Anakin going up and manually stunning Lee Chang-soon. So this is also, you see Jupiter, it's not just tossing out the bomb and hoping, it's actually giving themselves the best shot at actually getting kills, fishing for ways they can maybe confirm something there. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but at this point, I almost want to get off Mr. Jupiter's wild ride. This team is just so hot and cold. From map to map, from half to half, even to the point where I still don't even know if I believe they'll win this. It's so possible.
Yeah,
it would be a given
I gotta say,
for any other team, but I could see a world where they just don't.
Well, they got to fail hard, because this is, again, the most winnable position they've been in the whole series, where they completed a hold on to A. They do not have to push through all of A. B is dangerous territory. Not going to go to B. Not going to go to B at all today across both matches. And Jupiter, if they don't win here, you got to say they never were going to win the series, because this is the easiest win for them, and you got to take it.
I like this, just aggressively pushing out. They want to make space for the cart before they fall back and push it. They lose the mech on rotation, but a couple of clean kills in there. That's Kenma Hororo, by the way, out of the mech as he gets that.
Another
they
D-mech.
find MG. They do lose Zer and among all the chaos, but Kenma Hororo never died. He'll get back in the mech.
Look at Cart.
Long, and that's the thing, the cart's moving. Zer will respawn. Cyclone Coupling, even if they start to rally back into position here, it's only 1 minute lost on the clock. And
by the way, these were even trades the whole time. Okay, you know, you lost a player, Saber got trades back, and then another player goes down, you get one more, and it's been so even that, okay, no one can contest this cart positioning. You have still a decent amount of time. They have reinforcements really in your favor for the attackers so far. Cyclone Coupling have got a lot of work ahead of them.
They do have those ultimates. They pop the Valkyrie early. They know they need the tempo off it. Lee Chang-soon really not able to find many picks here. Sabergod also has himself a Transcendence. If things get hairy, he decides to commit it now, and that's going to be the point at which Jupiter want to put the pressure on. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far. They want to finish off Becky. They will finish off Becky. And Jupiter also now have way more ultimates to lean in, both the grab and the shatter at the same time, and there is nothing but nothing that Cyclone Coupling can do about it. And Jupiter are going to get more than just the one map tax. They're sick of living off scraps. They're going to take us to a Game 5.
Seizing the means of map winnings. And you also have to consider, look, that defense in particular for Cyclone Coupling, very defensive in terms, very passively defensive, I should say, in terms of you're playing bunker, you're sitting high ground, you're waiting for the attacking team to come into you, you're waiting for the cart to push up, and by the time something happens, you're now pushed very far back, and you're not giving yourself a lot of room for error here. You lose one fight where that ending cart position was. Jupiter finished the game. They finished the entire map. So, unfortunately for Cyclone Coupling, my preference would have been that they played a 3-3 goats to kind of match there, but the difficulty is, what if Anakin goes on fire? You don't want to risk that. So, it's a very difficult place as the defenders to be in. Unfortunately, caught between, stuck between a rock and a hard place, and for Jupiter, mentioned this, but the most winnable map, got there. This time it wasn't just recovery. This time it wasn't just, it was close, but they couldn't finish out. They do close that one out, and we do go to Ilios. We do go back into control, and got to say, I think Jupiter favored here.
Certainly don't want to count your chickens, though, before they hatch, because, again, the sad reality is, or maybe not the sad reality, but the harsh reality is that Jupiter still never feel like they're particularly
and I like eggs, so
sure. They're still not particularly guaranteed to win one of any particular map, even when you have, they won the first control. that often favors you for the second one, but I just don't know how much I believe that with this particular team. I still
It does feel
say-
50-50, I will be honest.
I still want to say, on balance, I feel like they should be at least the favorite team coming into our final control map, and that would mean they walk away with the series, but I just don't know how much I can believe
So,
that.
in terms of expectations, I'm setting the expectation that I do think Jupiter should be favored here. Are they going to win? Who knows? But they should be favored to. Similar fashion to once you start seeing how Fana goes, you're now thinking, okay, the expectation is they will win this. They will take us to map 5. We have now definitely gone to 15 maps in a row for Cyclone Coupling over 3 weeks. There have been 3 map 5s in a row. One they won, one they lost. So no real empirical evidence on whether they handle map 5s well. This is also, in terms of importance, you would have to say it's that much more important with Jupiter as the winless team. Cyclone Company got easier games ahead. Jupiter have to fight tooth and nail for this, and we are going to keep you on the edge of your seats because it's break time again. Promise this one won't take too long. When we come back, it'll be the finale here, map 5, Jupiter, Cyclone Company. Who takes it up? Find out after this. Welcome back once again to Overwatch Contenders Pacific Season 2 here. Our conclusion, epic map 5. First one of the week so far, Jupiter, Cyclone coupling. Very important game for Jupiter. Still reasonably important for Cyclone coupling. Would make their season a lot easier if they could win here. Would certainly, in some ways, save them from relegation, you like to think. And you get to this point, and despite Jupiter having some momentum, having won the early control, hard to call who will take it out.
And look, here's the thing I want to mention as well. If it ends up being Jupiter taking it out, look, as much as Cyclone Coupling still have, winnable matches ahead of them, just speaking over the kind of general power level of the teams in the region, you still look at that and go, yeah, but they lose to Jupiter. Like, what does that mean? Does it mean that those are still winnable? You'd like to think yes, but at the end, actually, that would leave it as the
There's a caveat.
Yeah, the only match they would have won then would have been last week's one against Greenleaf. That's a good win, but it was also a close win. And you start to look at this as almost like the anti-Global Esports, the team that seems to struggle and go to map 5, but lose where Global Esports win.
The caveat I'll add is that is assuming Jupiter are as weak as they were early on, because we're okay, if you lose to that Jupiter, big questions, huge red flags. You lose to this Jupiter where Jupiter starts to look good now, it doesn't feel as bad. Sure, it doesn't feel good because you don't ever want to really lose, and if you're at one match when you don't want to still be at one match when after this, you don't want to be sitting at 1-4 in the standings at week 5, but I don't think that means you then don't win your next 2 matches either. I think, okay, it could still be up in the air, but Jupiter, it's more so that Jupiter have gotten better and they have pushed themselves to a win because they've improved, more so than, wow, Jupiter's still sucking and you somehow lost to a bad team.
I would say, though, look, I feel like they've improved, but I do still feel like they are a bit of a far cry from the Jupiter we even saw last season, and that's to say nothing of the Cyclops Athlete Gaming in Season 2 of last year. Look, Jupiter in Season 1 of this year didn't even look like that same team, so, that's not too, saying that this team isn't close to Cyclops Athlete Gaming, yeah, sure, we weren't expecting them to be, but we were expecting them to be better than last season, and right now I would still say they're a little bit behind that mark. So, an improvement to be sure, but it's still not necessarily a sign that this team has turned things around.
Oh, I think it depends if you are, if it's a clear one-to-one comparison from last season, assuming everybody's the same, that might hold more water, but I think, everyone's kind of improved here. Yeah. Jupiter so far this season have fallen behind, and maybe it's time that they've actually caught up. Map 5 now coming up on your screens.
Both teams happy to roll out here. Seeing Fallen lean into a bunker.
McCree as well, so flashbang, shield bash combo here. Regular 3-3 on the side of Jupiter as well.
I feel like they're kind of expecting actually Anakin and Hengi to come out on a Sombra and Tracer. Like you said, they've got the bash bang crowd control to deal with flankers, but it's actually not flankers from Jupiter here.
Well, it's an insurance policy. It's to make sure they can't then go back and change anyway, and Jupiter are attempting to break through this shield, this kind of bunker play, but so far they're just taking a lot of damage, and Lee Chang-soon's uncontested.
They do get the point cap though, and Sabagod's also able to thread the needle to finish off recall. Zer gets sort of re-emboldened and is able to push in, find a couple. So inevitably Jupiter, having got the point cap before the main part of the fight actually broke out, then also get the fight win, and it's Cyclone Coupling who have to make the change.
And by the way, tidbit here, Lee Chang-soon actually got the Deadeye as he died, so he did enough damage to get the full 100% ult charge first before anyone else on either team could get to the next one. It's going to be Anakin finally getting this rally, and it just goes to show the damage was there from the McCree, the damage was there from Lee Chang-soon, but the cleanup was not. They couldn't secure kills despite the damage getting in there.
Unfortunately, the only ultimate charge that Cyclone Coupling preserve here really is MG and TOT, and those are decent ultimates, but they're not your ideal ones, especially when you consider what Jupiter have available. They're also just out-fragging in this fight as well. They don't even need ultimates here.
And this is starting to look somewhat one-sided again. You don't want to call it too early because there is comeback opportunities, but Cyclone Coupling had to change compositions after losing a fight. It's already at 50. They've barely built up the next round of ultimates. Speaking of barely, Jupiter have barely had to use ultimates, so they got a lot to defend with. You're expecting this one to be pushed over to 99% at least for Jupiter, even if they do lose control.
So now we're starting to see Cyclone Coupling getting a bit closer to at least the sound barrier, but there's still just so much ground
no
to pick
defense.
up. honestly, a free grab and hugely efficient play from Jupiter. It's only the one ultimate to get those kills, and they're now rounding up to 80%. Like, Cyclone coupling aren't really going to get any good opportunities here.
And you've only just gotten past a rally and a grab. You still have 4 more ultimates available. Yeah, those are going to be the ones that may or may not be slightly less impactful. I say that as double support ultimates, to be fair, are still really strong. And Cyclone Company have barely offense option. The grab is too far away. Self-destruct is available with no combo for that one, so you just have to throw that one in there and hope you connect it.
They barely have defensive ultimates of their own. They're only just coming up on a sound barrier. They may still get Transcendence yet in this fight. In fact, they should have recall pops this at the right time. This is going to be Jupiter looking to get aggressive with Primal Rage. Fallen, unfortunately, a sitting duck on the point. There's nothing they can do about that. Weren't able to commit those support ultimates in time. Self-destruct does trade one back, but that's all Cyclone Coupling have to show for this fight thus far, and Jupiter just happy to sit pretty. It's going to be a grab out.
We're going to go in, to be fair.
Answer, and that is the cap coming back the way of Cyclone Coupling in the course of the fight.
Honestly, too passive from Jupiter. Why didn't they use their ultimates earlier? They could have made great tempo plays there. Maybe they gave too much respect over to Cyclone Coupling, who actually didn't have ults, and now they've lost the cap. Now they probably lose the fight.
Yeah. They also had like 3 members low there, with Cyclone Coupling not necessarily having much going for them, and didn't commit a sound back.
By the way, they themselves were at a player amp. They got fallen down early, 6v5, did not press on their advantage, lost a member, Anakin, I believe, to the self-destruct, which evened things up to 5v5, of which then Fallen came back and respawned, putting themselves back at 6 on the side of Cyclone Coupling. For Jupiter, the whole time you're wondering, like, shouldn't you guys have pushed on your 6v5 early when Fallen was down? Now the point went over some time ago. We're looking at 40% now for Cyclone Cup.
It reminds me of Point A Anubis. It reminds me of Point A Hollywood, where they kind of done a lot of the work, but just sort of stood there admiring themselves in the mirror for a moment instead of doing anything. They do get a grab out here. They will get the cap in that course of
kills
time.
in the grab.
It's a 1-for-1 now, and it's a bit of a late one at that. They need Hengi in this fight. They find Fallen, now find Recall, and it does look like they aren't going to end up losing it. It's not going to be a repeat of those ones I mentioned. Anubis Point A, Hollywood Point A. It is only one part of Ilios, though. They still need to get another.
And this one honestly feels like this particular round is a tortoise and hare race where the hare at the last moment remembers, oh, that's right, woke up, remember there was a race on, and just dashed to the finish line just ahead of the tortoise by, I don't know, a photo finish mark. But at this
fraction of a hair.
Oh, beautiful. Also awful.
Thank you. I do try.
I equally liked and disliked that. But what I like a little bit more is to see, okay, a round that Jupiter you expected probably should have won. They did. 99-0 lead is quite large. Not only that, but they had so much momentum on their side. It was Cyclone Coupling. They had to reset their composition, start with 0 ultimates. Took a long time for them to get anywhere. And for them to almost have a comeback potential, too close for Jupiter now, as they are at match point, one more round of Ilios required.
So lucky it takes more than just bungling one fight to lose in 99-0, but what if you don't even have that to start with? So we do still have to see Jupiter tighten the bolts as we come into our next map. Both teams just line up for a pitched battle.
And in 2 seconds, people are going to have to move now. They're both rushing for the point. Cyclone Coupling on Old Faithful here. TOT on Sombra. What can he do?
Slightly faster rotation for Jupiter means they do get the point itself, but Cyclone Coupling closer to ultimates, and that could be the real difference maker when push comes to shove. Indeed, will be the real difference maker.
So identifying the matchup correctly here is Jupiter saying, we have the 6 members of the 3-3 codes. You have the Sombra, which means you lack the Diva. We're going to rush the point. You have to come to us.
Jupiter not really getting too much done. Stun on MG, though. If they can finish one off, then a numbers advantage
ready.
Big time, but instead it's Ken Mahororo who goes down. And Cyclone Coupling, I say, they're still close to the big, impactful ultimates. Transcendence can only answer so many things. Good kill on Recall, though. There's the Transcendence to deal with both the Shatter and the Grab. That's double value for Sabagon, and Jupiter push out of that and end up getting a massive string of kills. That was honestly a resounding success for Jupiter.
And Sabagon even slightly held on to that one, played it somewhat risky, just waited to see if there was going to be enough damage output, eventually used the Transcendence. And if you're on the side of Cyclone Coupling, where honestly MG got a pretty quick grab, not sure if he realized...
Yikes.
Not sure if he realized that Sabagon was going to have a Transcendence in time, because that was a quick charge from him. Now 54 in the lead. If Jupiter win one more fight, they're taking this to 99.
And even if things go wrong, they have got a good amount of time on the clock. They have again laid the groundwork that saves them, in a sense, on well. Might just serve them just as well here.
EMP's going to be big though, and Claire's got a big job to do. Where's he going to hide? Around the side?
Nice stun on Fallen. Here's
gotta go.
Claire coming back in. Unfortunately, Sabagard is already down. They need to keep these other members alive. Look at what they're close to. Nearly have grab, nearly have shatter. They lose Zer, and they definitely don't want to go ahead and commit those other ultimates here. So Cyclone Coupling getting maximum value out of that EMP. They do have to commit the Transcendence as well, but all's well that ends well because they will cap the point.
And honestly, hard to counter as a Lucio player because where you're supposed to hide, do you go behind the point? Too obvious. The Sombra's going to spot you that way, so you got to hide in the side room. But then you can't get the sound barrier out quickly enough to catch all your members. It's a 5v6. Hengi doesn't quite have grab available to use. Jupiter, in this case, they know they're ahead. 90% is a decent lead. They're going to reset, hold on to all their outfits, come back for a better day.
Cyclone Coupling, though, speaking of better day, do have a lot of ultimates at their own disposal. Nice grab from Hengi, though. They're getting quicker on the commit. MG stays alive, though, enough in time to get his own grab, and it is far more successful. Jupiter get a cop a tough loss there.
It's a big commitment, though. So Cyclone Coupling know that if they lose this one, they lose the point, they lose the entire match, and they don't want to go down on map 5 like they've done so before. TOT now on the EMP is going to have to be the biggest EMP of his life because for Cyclone Coupling, they got nothing else with this EMP. Does not connect properly. If they do not win off this one, Jupiter are going to retake this point. They even have the better response now. Sabagard on Transcendence. Jupiter are in position to win, but if they do not, it's going to be back-to-back 99s.
I think TOT, or at least someone, needs to find Sabagard, but don't Sabagard know it.
Can't wait too long to engage. TO2 might be in trouble. You took a bit of damage already.
Steamek on Kenma Hororo, though, and Jupiter end up deciding to just commit to the fight instead. And
okay, this is even better for Cyclone Coupling. You would expect that if they were going to win a fight, it would cost them an EMP. However, they get to hold on to this EMP, and they still, Anakin DC sadly, they still hold on to 75% now in the next engagement. Probably going to take a while. You're going to see Cyclone Coupling hit 99% or somewhere close above the 90s. This is going to be a very close round, and for Jupiter to be this far ahead, to then not win, would be very disappointing. And that fight in particular, just losing a couple members, now that you can see, okay, if they lose Anakin because he DC'd and we're going to fall back and wait for him to reconnect and get our 6 members back, that one you'll slightly forgive, but it's unfortunate because this was going to be an important fight for Jupiter where they can actually walk in, have a decent counter available to the only win condition that Cyclone Coupling have, and this would have been the 2-0 on Ilios to give them the win.
It's just a tough situation no matter how you slice it. I mean, now they come in with what is not necessarily a favorable position. I mean, it doesn't mean that they lose it, right? Like, it just feels like it's more of a toss-up than it ought to be. Again, this is kind of like, well, they feel like they've done the groundwork, getting the 99%. Going to be unfolding now, though, so we'll get to see how it plays out.
It's going to come back Batiste. This is kind of smart because they know they're probably going to have one fight left. They want maximum value. An insurance policy on the EMP is that, look, if you don't get the Transcendence offer of that, it's not enough. Immortality Field might just be enough.
And I mean, hey, and you know, they did this previously. It had some reasonable impact. There it's got to be, does not save Zer, and that could be all she wrote. Let's not call it too early, but Anakin going down as well. Now Hengi too, and that's going to be the 98-99 for Cyclone Coupling. It does get overtime thanks to the work of Claire, but that is all Jupiter are going to get there. They will not get a second map just yet. We are tied up on Ilios. We are tied up in the series at large. And it's just anyone's game still. Absolute disappointment on the face of Jupiter, you can imagine. For that one where they were somewhat expected to win the previous fight, walk into a now much more difficult fight to win. Transcendence was used, Zer wasn't saved. And unfortunately, Immortality Field wasn't going to be enough as well. Zer, he had an Earth Shatter, that could have been the difference, Jupiter. The response wasn't quite available, and oh man, they had 90%. Cyclone Coupling now putting themselves in a great spot as well. Like you mentioned, it's still anyone's game. This is the part where it does feel like a coin flip decides it. Oh man, at least a coin flip doesn't actually decide it. At least you get to play it out and may the best team win. Jupiter again going to run out on just 3-3 goats. Cyclone Coupling 3-2-1 with the Sombra. Again, back on Old Faithful, TOT looking to do the damage here. Point's going to unlock soon. Jupiter want to go in early. Ken Mahororo hacks out and pressured out as well. Jupiter are able to bounce back a little bit from that. They were also pushing forward as they were doing that, so they should be able to get priority over this point. Nice catch by Savagod. And that will be the opening cap, again going the way of Jupiter.
And by the way, nice discipline by Jupiter not to overcommit on the chase. They don't want to go too far. They want to make sure they got feet on the point. That is their focus here. Wait for Cyclone coupling to misstep, which is what happened. TOT down. That's going to slow down the EMP. Sabagon now is going to have a transcendence, you like to imagine, by the time EMP is available.
The heck on Ken Mahororo comes to no consequence. I have to say, though, Cyclone coupling have charged up more ultimates. And that happened as well on Lighthouse. This could spell disaster, potentially.
And the key difference is, even though Transcendence is available, if you do EMP Shattered, that might be a big enough combo you win anyway. TOT under lots of pressure from Sabagod, who now completes his ultimate.
Becky as well has a Transcendence, so even if Jupiter starts to come up on ultimates of their own, it might not be enough to hang a fight on.
We are ready.
Cyclone coupling. Ooh, Becky commits early. They're looking for the tempo play. Now there's the
Sabagod!
Sabagod's hacked in it! They can't commit that. They lose Zer. Sabagod, low. Amakin gonna get D-Max here. They just have to accept that fight did not go the way they wanted it.
Yeah, Kimmo Hororo's going to be down here. Amakin had the rally. Didn't quite get a chance to use that one. Look how many ultimates are available. Jupiter, that is the saddest fight to lose. But you lose so many members hacked out, especially Transcendence not being able to be used because Sabagod was caught. That is the key factor, and that could be the game. That could be the turning point. 54% for Jupiter, when previously on the other two rounds, they got 90 plus.
Here's the big news, though. Jupiter going to be coming in with a full Christmas tree. As soon as Ken Mahororo gets this one available. And Hengi actually commits a grab before that happens. But they've got all the tools you should be able to win a fight with. And if they're disciplined, they won't have to use them all. And indeed, this is the peak of discipline so far. 1 ultimate, 2 kills. Recall as well going to get finished off. They'll re-grab the point and they maintain an ultimate lead for now.
And that is so important, because if they did overcommit, Cyclone Coupling were looking to sort of in a way reset, because they knew, okay, there's a lot of ultimates on Jupiter. We're going to try and get as many as possible, not use our own. Jupiter wising up to that one, saying, well, you're not going to use, we're not going to use. We're just going to take a member, take the point, push to 70 plus. By the time you push back in, we're going to be at 99. And now Cyclone Coupling, EMP, how does it land? Where is Sabagod?
TOT's looking for this one. Will Lightning strike twice? Zer throws out a Shatter, and it's not really going to do anything, unfortunately. There's the EMP, and this time Sabagod is in the right position to answer it. But now what answers the grab?
Claire's got to live.
Claire, but he was still hacked at the back end of that, which means Zer does not survive. They trade it back with MG, but Sabagod down as well, and now Cyclone Coupling ahead in the fight, also still with defensive ultimates to lean on, and Jupiter have nothing to throw in that could pressure those ultimates out. So Jupiter are going to push it to 99 and accept the L for now.
And that is a tough loss for Jupiter, because Cyclone Coupling, the level of confidence to say, we are not going to use Sound Barrel, we are not going to use our Transcendence. MG even went down. They had 5 members. They had the, I guess, the trust of the team to say, we can win this without putting more in, because we believe Jupiter are down and out for this fight, and we believe that we are going to be able to win. Holding onto these ults now means they can push towards a really long engagement. They can hold on this point for a long time, and now they are way, way, way ahead in terms of ult economy.
Jupiter do not have a lot to go on. They can't afford to have one fight where they rebuild, but they've got to be quick, and they've struggled to be quick so far tonight.
Kimmo Hororo has been a target of a lot of hacks so far. This is giving over the EMP charge. TOT was at like 50, 60%. Now he's got 100.
And Sabagod does not have a Transcendence. The window is really closed hard here for Jupiter. They needed this to be a rebuilding fight for them. Unfortunately, they let Cyclone Coupling rebuild too, and now final fight territory, anyone can take it.
And Jupiter, they've just missed the window, sadly. So many times Cyclone Coupling have been able to hold on to double support ultimates for so long now. The game state you'd like to imagine for Jupiter would be that there are no support ultimates available. You grab and you can win based on that. Cyclone Coupling are in a great spot.
There's the grab from Hengi. They need to get kills while it's happening, but Transcendence from Becky makes that hard, if not impossible. Self-destruct. Tossed forwards from Ken Mahororo. Does not find anything.
MG coming up.
Jupiter have nothing left. Zer's hacked. He can't shatter. Claire does not have a sound barrier just yet. MG has grab now, and Claire is not in time. Barely gets it out before going down the trade. Off with Fallen as well, but Anakin goes down. Now the EMP.
Another
no
EMP.
answer for it from Jupiter, and they're just getting picked off. The point still in control of Cyclone Coupling, who close it out and will barely stay ahead of the curve tonight.
And Jupiter will not find their victory today. Their best shot at taking one for the whole season. And so far, 5 weeks in, 5 losses in, 0-5 on the record. Cyclone Coupling is safe, 2-3 so far after 5 weeks. And that was so close, even right towards the end. But you felt the tides shifting. You felt the balance shifting towards Cyclone Coupling as well. They had won more fights, more convincingly, using less, higher value. Then more coming up. TOT had an EMP on Ruins nearly every single engagement. Just kept on churning through the EMPs.
It's incredible.
Faster than it was possible for either support player on Jupiter to keep up with. And for Cyclone Coupling, put the pedal to the metal there. You have to imagine, Lighthouse is the outlier. Lighthouse is where Jupiter had a winnable position that unfortunately, you can blame the DC, you can blame other things, but Jupiter couldn't capitalize. What ends up haunting them for that round in the whole series is sadly, outside of maps like Havana and maybe Busan, is, okay, they're in a winning position. They failed to win there. They failed to convert a winning position into an actual win. And that ends up being the tale for the entire match.
And I mean, how many times have we even said that of Jupiter in these last 2 weeks? And I think the unfortunate reality is, look, for Cyclone Coupling, it's success. For Cyclone Coupling, it's that second map win. It doesn't mean you're guaranteed to avoid relegations, but it means you're in good stead to do so. And they've got some very winnable matches coming up. For Jupiter, the same is not true. To get 2 wins, they would have to beat Talon. And that's to say nothing of the other match that stands between that. They still have to play Global Esports as well. This match for Jupiter, even though it's been their closest yet, it also feels like the ultimate turning point of the season for them, in that that is the one that probably seals them in the bottom 2, never to escape.
Yep, it would be, you would have to see another team completely crumble, but every other team outside of Xavier is sitting at 2 maps. Even if Xavier continue crumbling themselves. Look, maybe they only end the season with 1 map, rather 1 match. That's still 1 more than Jupiter.
Yeah.
That's still going to be not enough for Jupiter to escape relegation, because Jupiter need to be at least 6th place. And while I don't see anyone else in the top 6 dropping below number 6 currently, so yeah, this is unfortunately for them. You don't want to say it's over, but look, they're not beating Talon. They're just not going to beat Talon.
No, I mean, yeah, they're definitely not.
There are a few times I'm going to be that final, but this time, this is one of those moments.
Yeah.
I'm going to say for Talon, 28-0. Talon are just going to win the rest of the matches in the regular season.
They could all have food poisoning, and a Pudo and Patapan could both die, and they would still win. That is how confident I am in that team.
That's quite grim, unless you mean like in game.
I don't. No, I mean really.
Oh,
but
wow,
like, but I don't think that's going to happen.
That makes me
for
very
one thing.
uncomfortable.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, look.
Not happy about that.
All right. But in all seriousness, this is the thing, right? Far East Society and Green Leaves both came into what is traditionally those bottom 2 slots. The 2 slots left vacant by last season's teams that got relegated, and they've had some success. They're pushed up in the standings, and that inevitably means someone else has to fall. It's a shame that it's Jupiter. It's a shame that it was the team that really sort of forged the path for strong Japanese teams, but at least Green Leaves have continued on.
So I say they did. The path is open.
Yeah, they're still holding that one, but this may be the season where we say goodbye to Jupiter.
Well, 2 teams always had to leave.
Inevitably.